Aquarius, this is your week ahead astrology forecast by Astrology Motivation from Born Without Boundaries. In these weekly videos, I review the major planetary aspects and transits and how they impact your natal sun and what that means in real time for the bottom line in your life. All you need to enjoy this video is to know your birth date, because I will translate everything else for you, but I will start out really broad with all the big stuff that's impacting everybody, and then I will focus down into Aquarius specific information, and then I will break everything down into the 3 decans of Aquarius. The decans are groups of 10 degrees, and they help me understand what kind of angles your natal sun is forming to other planets, which creates their aspect or their relationship to each other, which lets me know how your natal sun is going to be impacted, how you are going to be impacted for the week. Because just because you're Aquarius doesn't mean you're all going to be impacted the same way. Very different interactions based on those angles they form to other planets. So let's start out with the big stuff, Aquarius. This is for the week of July 19th to the 25th of 2023. I have everything all written down for you, how to write it down to get it in here. The big stuff, quite a bit of big stuff actually. It's mostly happening in Leo. Leo represents our heart space, and it is directly opposite to you guys, so it will definitely be impacting you. Number one, we have the sun entering Leo on the 23rd of this week. The sun is in opposition to Pluto as it enters Leo. It's also square the nodes as it enters Leo. Can you say change of heart? That is definitely a profound kind of metamorphosis of our ego, our desires, our courage, and what we care about and what our purpose is in life. So a lot of people can be experiencing major transformation, perhaps humankind in general. We also have on the 23rd Venus, which is in 28 degrees Leo, so it's at the last decan of Leo, but she's going into retrograde and she's going to be in Leo, I think, for the next 40 days. So there's a lot of retrograding happening, and there's a lot of Venus in Leo. Venus is staying there for a while. Venus in retrograde asks us to rethink our value systems and how we've placed value on things, and have we given enough credit or enough attention or enough value? Do we still value the things that we used to? What has changed? The retrograde will help us review all of that, which can include monetary value, actually resource kind of value, but also value in terms of what we're attracted to, what makes us motivated and turns us on. All of those things are going to be in retrograde, slowed down, and in some ways challenged to make us think, have we done the right things? Could we do better? What could we learn? And what is changing? Because there is a lot that's changing. We have a grand square in the sky, which I just talked about. It's created by the north nodes and by Pluto and the sun. Grand squares create pressure. They create compilation and force. They kind of like, it's changing something. It's metamorphic. It's what changes coal into a diamond. So it's creating even more pressure, especially on our consciousness and how we see ourselves. High pressure zone is what I'm saying. We also have a grand trine in the sky on the 22nd. So watch out for this. On the 22nd, there becomes almost an easement or a relaxation between the moon in Virgo, Pluto in Capricorn, and Uranus in Taurus, where there is this sense of easement and ease in these earth signs, a relaxation, or maybe a lot of comfort, enough comfort maybe to be comfortable with the switches and the changes and the underbelly of sorts, including our feelings toward those things. So that should be a very interesting day. Venus in retrograde is she's already, and she's going to stay, trine to the north node and sextile to the south node, and that means that there is going to be a conscious change and sort of upgrade when it comes to those Venus-led value systems of what you're turned on by, what you desire, what you think is beautiful, who thinks you're beautiful, how much money you have, how you handle your money, all of those things are now switching and bearing in asking us this question: how does our relationship between the duality of partnership and individuality deal with these kind of themes, like rethinking kind of our sense of morality and what is right and wrong when it comes to what attracts us and what we really care about. Anyway, that's a consciousness that she'll be opening up. Venus in retrograde is opening that up, but the nodes that changed on the 17th, changed zodiac signs on the 17th, will be refocusing our attention to the balance between the individual singularity and partnership. So the duality between the two is where we now have to recalibrate. We have to find a balance. We also have the North Node conjunct Chiron, which is an interesting energy. It's the energy of the hero. It's the energy of the person who says, I'm not going to let anybody be hurt the way that I was hurt. It's the energy of the person that is inspired to take action, to make a difference and change things for the future so that others don't suffer. So this is an extraordinary energy. I wish more people were talking about it, and I think ultimately Chiron opposite the South Node is asking us, why are we comfortable with stuff that we know is toxic or that hurts us, and how can we change? It's a good question to ask. Mercury is conjunct Venus as of the 23rd. This will give us a beautiful kind of fluid grace in how we communicate and how we talk. Mercury, this could be used deceptively, but could also be used progressively in finding better ways to express ourselves and communicate with each other. We have a Mercury trine to Chiron, which means maybe this communication is going to actually help us kind of heal wounds, or apologize, or help other people heal. And then Mercury is also square to Uranus this week, and that could be pretty troublesome, especially when it comes to tech and social media. It could mess up a lot of things, make for a lot of glitches. Just letting you guys know. We do have Jupiter. Mars is trying to Jupiter, and that means the actions that are taken this week, there's sort of a blessing on, sort of a fortunate kind of push toward what you should take action on, and when you do, it's got this sort of blessing attached to it, so there will be a positive outcome. So that's really good. Optimistic action. We also have Mars opposite Saturn, which means there's a lot of resentment based on restriction. So it could just be that we're sick of the old rules, we're sick of the old laws, we're sick of the old way that things keep piling on top of ourselves, and so we're gonna move forward with some action whether or not we're getting permission, and that might be a very good thing. Let's go into Aquarius specific information, shall we? So for Aquarius specific information, I look at Aquarius itself, like what is happening in the zodiac sign of Aquarius, and then I look at your ruling dignitaries, Saturn and Uranus. Uranus is your modern ruler. It is your ruling dignitary, but Saturn is your traditional ruler. It was always assigned Aquarius rulership up until Uranus was discovered, I believe, in the 1800s. So listen, it's still definitely, Saturn still definitely impacts you, so we're going to take a look at it. There's nothing going on in Aquarius. There's no major planets or luminaries that are happening in Aquarius itself, but there is a lot happening to both Saturn and Uranus. As I discussed, Saturn is at 6 degrees Pisces. It is in opposition to Mars and semi-square to Chiron, putting it in a very contentious and challenging energy of restriction, not wanting to move forward, restricting action, not trusting momentum forward, maybe because it sees like it's never going to be good enough. That's the semi-square to Chiron. It's never going to be good enough. I can't do things well enough. Nothing is ever going to be better or as good as it was, so why even take action? So there is sort of that still anxious, anxiety, depressed, even hopelessness with these energies attached to Saturn. So Saturn is very almost pessimistic, or it is the pressure point for change this week. Uranus, on the other hand, square to Mercury, there's going to be some surprises and some chinks in the chain when it comes to communications and big tech. Chinks in the chain from the 20th on through the end of this week, the 25th. Uranus is in a long-term trine to Pluto, which means we are harmonizing our oddities, our weirdness, and whatever is hidden or taboo. We're kind of liking it. We're finding a harmony with it. There's this sense of, so like the surprises from the depth, or major changes coming through that actually need to happen in order to harmonize society. Uranus is square to Venus, which is in retrograde, which can also create some tension here when it comes to what you want and what you desire, especially if you felt restricted. Could cause boredom to arise in relationships and people to want to step outside the norm or do too much or spend their money on different things or date different kind of people. The fact that this is a square means it could cause a major tension with whatever relationship that you're in or situation that you're in right now. Then we have Uranus sextile to the Sun this week, which means it's okay to be seen. It wants to be heard. It has confidence in its oddities and ingenuity and cleverness and creativity. So it's a very ingenuitive kind of, we're going to figure this out come hell or high water kind of energy. That could also work very, very nicely with Jupiter trine to Mars. And then we have Uranus, part of the grand trine, on the 22nd with the moon and with Pluto, which means there is just some nice, like, lackadaisical kind of comfort energy with what comes through, or embracing our emotions, or whatever has been hidden coming out around that time, because something gets lax and something, I don't know, it's almost like something wants to heal. And then we have Uranus sextile to Neptune as well. Neptune is sextile to Pluto as well, and there's a trine between Pluto and Uranus. So this is forming the pretty trifecta of major change and innovation and breakthroughs over the next decade. Just an FYI. Aquarius, how does all this impact you? So let's break things down into the decans, Aquarius. If you know that your natal sun is between 0 and 9 degrees Aquarius, it's in the first decan of Aquarius. You're Aquarius ones. This correlates to Aquarian birthdays basically in January, anywhere from January 22nd all the way through the 31st of 31st of January. Only if you're on the cusps of Aquarius is your natal sun conjunct to Pluto, but it still is, which means there's a huge gravity, almost like a black hole gravity. You can just suck people in. People will pay attention to you and take you seriously. You also have psychic insight that you may have never experienced before, but this also marks a big change to your energy and your ego and how you view yourself and who you view yourself as, especially since this week and I think into next week, your natal suns that are conjunct to Pluto are in opposition to the current sun, which means putting something in your face and creating tension to force you into this change based on showing you things and making you realize things and see things. You also have a formidable energy to you right now where people aren't going to mess with you and you are going to get things done just through determination alone. You are square to the nodes, which means this is a turning point in your life and you're shifting toward your newer self or a newer version of yourself. And a sextile to Neptune means this involves a lot of creativity, open-mindedness, broad-mindedness, and affluency and sort of beauty and creativity and trusting in the divine to inspire you. This week in particular, your natal suns, all of your natal suns, not just cuspers, all of your natal suns are quincunx to Mars. Quincunx to Mars means there is frustration and agitation, maybe spurring you on to want to take action, but you can't, or just a sense of things wanting to happen, you wanting them to happen, but at the same time, this could lead to impulsivity. It could lead to anger and resentfulness, or just frustration that ends up in an angry outburst. So the best thing to do with this energy is to give yourself a little extra compassion and space, and do the same thing for other people so that you don't blow your top. Just an FYI. All right, Aquarius 2s. So if you know that your natal sun is located between 10 and 19 degrees Aquarius, you are Aquarius 2s. This correlates to birthdays between February 1st and the 10th. Your natal suns have been in a long-term sextile to Chiron, which means sort of deriving inspiration from all the trauma or all the challenges you've experienced in your life, what you've learned, and figuring out, almost like opportunities opening up because of pain that you've been through, sharing it and opening up conduits for other people as well. This week, next week, your natal suns are square to Jupiter, which could exacerbate this need to push forward and want to over exaggerate things and move too fast in some ways, or expect too much. So this could lead to a great deal of optimism if you tone down the expectation, because your expectation could get way out of hand and disappoint you when you really don't have to be disappointed this week. FYI. We also have, especially those born around the 9th or 10th. No, those born around the 9th or 10th, it's all week long. For those of you born before like the 8th, maybe between the 1st and the 8th, this opposition to Mercury will wear out by the end of the week. But through most of the week, there is an opposition to Mercury that definitely will feel like a mini Mercury retrograde, especially with the square to Uranus. Major tech issues, major communication issues. This is not a good week for you guys to go on interviews, not a good week for you guys to audition or write an important letter or sign important paperwork. Please wait till next week. There is a high possibility for being misunderstood, especially with that square to Jupiter, where you could very well jump to conclusions or overestimate your capabilities. Just an FYI, this is the kind of energy that would make you think, oh, I could be my own lawyer. You know, it's that kind of energy where you're like, no, you're going to miss a lot and mess it up. So be particularly cautious around those areas. Okay, now let's go on to Aquarius 3s. So if you know your natal sun is between 20 and 29 degrees Aquarius, you're Aquarius 3s. This usually correlates to birthdays between the 11th and the 20th, or say the 10th and the 20th of February, because I know February ends early. Your natal suns are sextile to the North Node and trine to the South Node, which makes you hypersensitive to this switching of the nodes. So now all of a sudden there is this sense of really feeling like you have a passion toward individuality and individual uniqueness, and really trying to harmonize, or maybe feeling a little bit too relaxed when it comes in particular to your partnerships. How have you depended too much on your partnerships or your connection to others? When in fact it's the individuality, uniqueness, and your own singularity that is going to be opening up opportunities for you. So you will feel that click come into play right now, and that duality really become a forefront in your mind for the next for the next 6 months for you guys specifically. You guys are also square to Uranus, which could mean definitely tech failures. It could also mean just tension when it comes to surprise curveballs coming at you, or not feeling like your uniqueness is being honored or being like fully expressed, and there could be tension around those issues. But that's long term. And then we have opposition to Venus, which is actually going to be longer term than it normally would be, because Venus is now in retrograde, so it's going to hang out with you guys for a while. This could bring up a lot of financial issues, bills that haven't been paid, stuff in your relationship that hasn't been dealt with, desires or proclivities that are distracting you or frustrating you. all of those issues will start to come up over the next couple of weeks and could really become a challenge for you. So once again, self-care and compassion is really important. This is not the best time for the next couple of weeks for you guys. Just stay away from trying to remodel or work on make major aesthetic changes or over pressure your relationship, because it could already be under enough stress. Also not the best time for you to start dating. Just an FYI. I love you guys so much, and I hope you love this video too. Please do share your love by liking it and subscribing to the channel. Then come on over to Born Without Boundaries Tarot for your week ahead tarot card reading, Aquarius. I'll see you guys there. Bye.